what it is.
Don, what is Ross Cook's future?
In what regard?
Well, dropped 4 times in the season. Where does he go from here?
Oh, look, yeah.
Is it a loose management issue?
No. Look, Boris he's not in the best of form. He'd be the first to admit that. Didn't have the game he wanted last week, and he was disappointed with that. But we're working hard with him in terms of getting him back into good form and playing the sort of footy we know he's capable of. So we're really confident that's going to turn around, and he's going to be an important part of the club going forward.
Is it a confidence issue with Ross?
Oh, look, it manifests itself a bit in that. I mean, obviously, he had really good form coming into the game last week. He played really well in the sample. He wasn't able to translate that into playing well against Geelong last week. So he's just got to go back now and again. There's no real secrets in the game. It's go back, keep working hard, and when he gets his next opportunity, be ready to grab that with both hands.
Can you put your finger on why something like that might happen? He's played a lot of footy.
Yeah.
He's never really had too much of a down patch.
Yeah. Well, we're talking through that with him in terms of how he's managing that. And it's not easy for him. I mean, it's like any player who goes through a bit of a drop in form. It's natural to sort of have some uncertainty about it, and so we'll keep working with him. As I said, I'm really confident he'll turn this around. He's a quality player, and that's why we got him to the footy club. So he's going through a little bit of a tough patch at the moment, but he'll come out the other side.
What are the signs that he shows that give you the impression that he will rebound?
Oh, look, just the nature of the man. He's come over here. As I said, of all the people who are disappointed, he's at the top of the queue. He understands, and he had an opportunity last week. He didn't grab it, and now he knows he's got to go back and work hard and double down to get himself another chance. And I'm sure when that comes, he'll put his best foot forward.
Is it harder that he can't get that sort of continuity in the senior team?
Yeah.
He's gone up and down.
Well, he's been in and out a little bit, and that's been a little bit through availability of other players. We've had some guys come in or go out of the team, come back in, and it sort of squeezed him a couple of times. So. That's probably making it a little more difficult for him, but he understands where he's at and clearly knows the things, but we need to keep working away with him, and we'll get him there.
Is there any doubt on Champions at all?
No, he's fine.
Can you just detail his recovery, John, quicker than most people would expect?
Yeah, well, he obviously hyperextended that knee out here against Richmond just before the bye, and the early signs were obviously we were concerned from an ACL viewpoint, but once we cleared that up, it was just a matter of how quickly it was going to settle down. Now, as we saw with Paul Seaman earlier in the year, he had a bit more extensive bone bruising out of it, whereas Josh was able to get away with not too much of that. And then it was just get the swelling down, start him moving, and I think he's on record of saying he sort of surprised himself how quickly he's come good. But he was moving freely at training on Wednesday, and even this morning is feeling very, very confident, and that's why we're prepared to put him back in. So he's ready to go.
And Lynch longer than expected?
Yeah, Lynchy's an unfortunate one. We've sort of had. We had high hopes for Lynchy probably to be 2 or 3 weeks, and it's just dragged on a bit. Again, he trained pretty much fully on Wednesday and did the whole session, but could still feel it on one movement, and we just probably took a cautious view to go, well, we don't want to push that, given the demands of the game and given the speed of the game, if he gets exposed to that he wasn't 100% confident. So I keep saying every week, we're hopeful for him next week, and that's the reality. It's just taken longer to settle down and come good to get him at full 100%.
Music theory is that Ken, I suppose, that JJ's fit and up and good to go?
Not really. I thought his recovery was too quick. He could have taken another week at least. But look, Don's just talked through injuries and stuff that we've had similar issues with. Jonas was very similar early in the year. We had 1 week calf that turned out to be a 4 week calf. You take the good with the bad. JJ's back. We got to play against him.
Your changes are pretty steady.
Yeah, they're pretty predictable. I think they're pretty predictable. We've got 2 boys who were suspended come back. They were in pretty good form and valuable parts of our side. And the other 2 boys, Rockcliffe was coming off a long injury, so we did the right thing with him. He probably deserves to get picked after 57, and Westy couldn't have done any more. And same. We've just hear the conversations that are going on, and people get out of form and they can respond quickly. And Westy certainly went back and did everything he possibly could to play. And he's got a bit of a showdown record, so we'll give him a go.
It was only a light run this morning, but Hartman didn't do much at all. Rockcliffe all Burton, but no problems there.
You've seen us train enough on captain's run. There's a few that don't do much. No problems. We will be as selected unless something changes overnight.
And have you been surprised at the heat that fans comments with externally, particularly across the border? There's been a lot of pressure, talk about him.
Oh, probably not. I mean, he's our captain. He's one of our captains, and he, like any player of that quality, expects some heat when he's not played as well as he would like to. And our midfielders is cops and meat, and they should have. We haven't played in that area of the ground. When we've been beaten in that area of the ground, we've been beaten badly. So that's Ollie leads that area of the ground, so he'll be okay with it. He'll respond pretty well.
Do you have to talk to him about that? Does he get his
countdown? Did he drag his feet at all with
No.
stuff like that?
No, tomorrow night, hopefully he'll show what it means to him, and he'll go out there and play the way he would like to play, as will some of the Crows players, I'm sure. Everyone's not always in great form, and you get a chance to respond. Ollie gets that tomorrow night.
Did you get in his ear after the Dogs game and say, need a bit more from you as skipper?
I reckon he knows. I reckon he knows that we need more from him in a game like that, and he understands it. But yeah, we talk all the time as captain and coach. You talk a lot.
And what's the mood generally been like this week? Is it a good resolve to last or what happened last week?
No more than any other week. Unfortunately, we've been that side that's been, one win, one loss. We haven't been able to quite get it right. We're 7-7. The Crows sit 8-6. We're not that far apart in the ladder. We've copped a bit more scrutiny over our inconsistency. We get that. We understand where it starts and stops, and we know that for us is a midfield battle, so we have to get that right. But no, it's no more than it is any other time, particularly in Adelaide.
What is it about this group or this team that seems to give you guys so much grief in recent records?
I think they're a pretty good team. I think they're a pretty high quality team who've always had the option, not just to us, but of course we play them twice a year. But probably it sticks out a little bit more, and we know what the showdown means. We get that. In our most recent history, Adelaide have dominated us. We have to get that back, and we will get that back at some point. It's just a matter of when that opportunity comes.
Do you feel like you match up with them, maybe not as strong as you do with other sides, or they give you?
I would suggest the results say that we match up pretty well, even though we haven't won many. I'd say they've been pretty close games more often than not in my time. Could have gone either way most of the time. That's what showdowns are.
Paddy Ryder, just got to keep doing what he's doing in Sample to get back.
Yeah, he's working away, and he played pretty well last week. He's got some stuff that he's clearly working on, and Paddy's been a really good player for us. I've said that in the past. I expect Paddy will go and do what he needs to do and earn himself back into our side.
Can we slightly, I'm not sure whether you heard Monty's comments yesterday saying that he doesn't agree that the group's untrustworthy or unreliable. I mean, that's a direct contradiction of your assessment, really.
No, I think
Reaction to that?
if you listen to what he said in his time, in his short time, that's what he's dealt with, and he's not. We understand what our supporters and what probably other people who have been around a lot longer would feel and understand about being unreliable, and that's we've been that a bit, but we've also been very, very good in other games. So the competition says, I think from about 5th through to 14th, there's maybe 2 games between them. So the competition says it's unreliable and it's inconsistent to pick. We're a part of that competition.
I mean, your assessment of your performance is that you're a side that's untrustworthy. Monty says he doesn't agree with that assessment. Is that a surprise?
No, it's not at all, because we was backing. I was certainly backing up the conversations around what do people think of us from outside. So we understand that we get external opinions that come our way, and we get what that language is: untrustworthy, unreliable, those types of language. But we're quite a different side. I think that's what people forget. If you push them all into one basket and you end up in this position of 3 or 4 or 5 years worth of the performances. This is a different side. We've had the most debutants of any club in this season. We had 7 blokes last week with really inexperienced players out there. We get why some of the reasons are we are a slightly inconsistent side currently, but we understand them pretty well. They're different to what they've been in the past.
Dom, do you need to get a lift from Richard Douglas this week? He's had some quiet or down games in the last couple.
I think we're looking for a lift from a number of players. Obviously last week against Geelong we performed to A level, but not a good enough level to get a result against a very good team in Geelong. And I think as a group we reviewed that and assessed that we were just off as a group in terms of the things that we value that are going to create winning for us, and that's our challenge tonight. And that's the beauty of the comp. It happens to be in a showdown tomorrow night. In a big game for the town, a big game for both clubs. I mean, as Ken said, we're both sitting at that spot whereby you're not, and this comp doesn't allow you to take a breath. And we need to respond to last week, and both sides coming off a loss. It'll be on early because our guys are a proud group and they want to respond and play the sort of footy that we've been playing in recent times. But it's all very well to talk about it. It's now about actioning it, and that'll be our challenge tomorrow night, to bring what we need to bring against a good quality opposition to get what we want, which is 4 points.
But was he lucky to keep his spot on the side?
No, Rich is a leader at the footy club, and his form probably the week before the bye at the Richmond game was strong. He's been back in the team for 3 weeks, and I'm really confident what he's going to bring tomorrow night.
Did you feel you needed more experience this week? Not given it was a showdown, and obviously recall David McKay as well. Did you feel you needed more experience?
Well, I think with David's case, he's been in really good form all year. Is the reality. He was unlucky probably to go to the side, and that was at that time where I think we had nearly 43 guys available, and we elected to go one way, and that sort of squeezed David out. But his form back at Samford, his attitude's been fantastic, and that's a great example of a guy who's just kept playing good footy and banging the door down, and so he gets another opportunity tonight. And the fact that he's a 200 game player and the experience doesn't hurt, but I think more importantly, he's in good form.
And Campbell Norman, what's sort of the latest on?
Yeah, well, he's just got that little stress response in his I think it's in his shin lower leg, which we let settle down after he didn't play obviously last week against Geelong, and he came out and tried to train on Wednesday and still a bit sore, so we're going to have to back him off for a little period. And I don't know how long that'll be, whether it's going to be 1 to 2 weeks, but clearly we just need to make sure we get that right before he can reload and get back into playing, which is unfortunate because he's had a really strong season, has been an important part of our midfield.
Where do you expect to play Wayne? Mostly we've seen him everywhere this year.
Yeah, well, he's got that flex, which is one of the reasons we love having the team. Not only is he a highly talented and strong performer for us, but he can play from basically half back through to half forward. So I expect you'll see him between half back and half forward.
Don, Paul Seedsman's been the other one that's probably been similar to Wayne instead of playing at either end of the ground. Do you have sort of a position in mind where you use him? Even when he is at half back, I guess he's still able to get forward. Yeah, well, he can play through those areas. I think probably his best footy's on the wing. That's historically where he's played his best footy. And I think he's a guy in the last couple of weeks after that knee injury and coming back in, it's amazing how, and I'm sure Ken would agree, it's amazing how when guys go out of playing AFL footy for a period, whether it be even and I reckon it's almost as little as a month, the time it takes to actually pick up the flow of the game again. It's the loss of training form into playing again. In Paul's case, he missed a fair chunk of time with that knee, came back and then played, and it just took him a few weeks to get going. And I think his last 2 weeks have been back to the sort of level he played at last year, with his ball winning and ball carrying, which is one of his great strengths. So again, you'll see him through that area again tomorrow night.
Kenny Broadbent back this week?
Yeah, it's great.
Tell us what he's been through and where he's at.
Well, I won't tell you what he's been through and stuff because that's quite personal stuff, but we understand the umbrella it falls under as mental health, and he's had a little spell from the club. He's got himself into a pretty good space now. He'll come back and play some footy on the weekend in the Samford. It's just great having him back around the club. He's pretty incredibly popular player at our footy club, so we get it. There's some challenges in life and in football, and Matty's dealing with some of them, and we'll be there to support him.
Does he drive that? He comes back to you and says, this is the week I want to play?
Yeah, absolutely. Have to work with him in this situation, and we understand that there's been no pressure from us for him to come back and play. He's made those decisions based on how he feels, and he feels like he can go out and compete this weekend.
Ken and Don, we all know what this game means for the town. Do you take extra pleasure as coaches of the prospective teams when you get one over the opposition?
We haven't had many. We haven't had many in the last little while, so I haven't had that feeling too often, and it's not great when I have, obviously. But I think what we understand is, with the greatest respects to the Crows, it's their banners as the team for all South Australians. That's not quite right. We've got 300,000 Port Adelaide supporters who think that this game is pretty important for Port Adelaide Football Club as well. So we look forward to having our opportunity.
And Don, you've got a Crows run. You might get one over Ken.
I think it's less about Ken versus me. It's more, obviously it's important for our fans and our members and supporters, and they value it. I believe we'll still only get 4 points tomorrow night if we win it, but that's the reality. It's an important game in the context of the town, so we bring, and it brings it's a certain excitement into the week of being part of it. It was the same when I was in Perth as part of the Derby, so there's an excitement to it. There's a natural cross-town rivalry, which is great, so we embrace that and understand the joy it gets when you get the result.
I think we asked you both about this last time, but there's one journalist across the board in particular that keeps pushing that perhaps they should play a showdown at the MCG agenda. What would you both think if there was a showdown put at the MCG next year?
I'd simply say it's an Adelaide game.
Yeah.
It's an Adelaide game. It's the state of South Australian football. It's where it should be played. Adelaide Oval's the greatest oval in the competition. Yeah,
from my viewpoint, this is a game for Adelaide people, for South Australians, and it's great that we get 2 games a year at a great facility. And you generally get passionate supporters filling the stands, whether they be Port or Adelaide, and I can't see why he'd move us to the MCG necessarily.
Do you two get any extra advice from passers-by this week about who to play where and what to do?
No more than normal.
I was going to say, just a normal week.
Generally.
I had my hair cut this week and my hairdresser said, "You've got to win." I took that on board.
think
Would it
that-
be-
Well, the guy who cuts my hair is a Port supporter, so he probably wouldn't give me that feedback. But anyway.
Would have been an overly long haircut, we would expect.
No, sometimes we have challenges, Tom, and some of those challenges are socks. If we looked at your socks right now,
I've got my happy socks on today.
I hope I got my happy socks on tomorrow night late.
Sorry,
I think we're done.
We're done with that, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. You brought it to that end.